Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an NPC bodybuilder. Today's guest is Andrew Gilliam. Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
I'm glad I'm on. Thanks for having me.
For sure, man. And I'm glad you're on as well, dude. Looking forward to chopping it up with you. The first question I want to ask you, Andrew, is who are a few of your favorite bodybuilders of all time?
So I would say my favorite bodybuilder, just because when I was coming up, I was watching this dude. I watched all of his videos. I mean, my very first program that I followed was, I don't know if you remember, but Jay Cutler had this like 3-pack supplement like stack, and it came with already a pre-made program. And that's like the first program I ever followed. So I followed Jay Cutler like to a T. I would follow his diets. And so I'm a huge Jay Cutler fan. I love the way how he represents the sport, how professional he is. As far as like physique goes, I would say my favorite physique of all time would probably be Phil Heath, probably 13 Phil Heath. After that, I mean, I'm looking at like 2003 Ronnie Coleman would probably be the freakiest, like my favorite freakiest physique of all time for sure.
Awesome, man. I gotta echo exactly what you said about Jay Cutler. He's my all-time favorite, man, and it goes beyond the bodybuilding with him, doesn't it? I mean, it's just the way he carries himself. I had the opportunity to meet him here like at a supplement store in Nebraska. I drove 4 hours to go see him and stuff just here a couple months ago. But and we stood in line for hours upon hours to get a photo. The process would have been a lot faster, I realized, if he didn't take 10 to 15 minutes with every single person and literally just look them in the eyes and treat them like they were $1 million. And that like, I already knew that about Jay because you see that through his videos and stuff, but it's like, what a class act. I mean, it just goes so far above and beyond bodybuilding. Would you agree with that, Andrew?
Oh, 100%. And even when he did win shows, I mean, how poised he was. And I mean, he didn't like, I understand how people are excited and they'll drop to their knees. They're so emotional and stuff. I mean, that dude, he's like he expected to win. And I think that just had, I just liked that about him. Because, I mean, you could tell in his face, he expected to win. He turned, he would shake the people's hands. And he's a real class act. And even outside, I mean, he revolutionized the business of bodybuilding as well, as far as like the marketing side of things. He's definitely inspirational for me.
Cool. So I definitely second that. All right. At what age, Andrew, did you start lifting weights? And then why did you start lifting weights at that specific age?
So I started lifting, I believe it was 15 years old. And it was due to sports. So where I'm from, Mona, Missouri, it's like a requirement to be in a strength and conditioning class if you're playing sports. So that's how I got into lifting, was just high school sports.
Okay, excellent. Okay, now I like to use that question, Andrew, just to kind of transition into my guest's childhood and upbringing a little bit. So talk a little bit. You just mentioned you grew up in Missouri, so you're a good old Midwest boy like myself. So and you mentioned sports. So talk about your childhood a little bit. Talk about, I mean, did you grow up in a big city? Did you grow up in a small town? What was life like for you growing up in Missouri?
So I came from a small town, kind of a country town. The population is about 7,000. So I live in Springfield right now, so it's only like 45 minutes from Springfield. But yeah, it's a small town. I mean, everybody knows everybody. I go there to visit because my parents still live there. And I mean, I can't even go into Walmart without seeing like 2 or 3 people that I know, and I have to stop and talk to them and, give them a breakdown of what's going on in my life and everything. It's kind of cool, but, at the same time, it's different for sure.
I'm from a town in Iowa of 5,000 people, and I know exactly what you're talking about because I've lived in big cities and stuff. And then you come back and people want to know like, hey, how are you doing? You run into school teachers, you run into this person. And it's like, I honestly, I don't like it. Cause I like to lay low. I don't like to be seen. I like to just, I don't want to talk about the weather. I don't want to talk about, hey, are you married yet? And all that small talk. I hate it. So I know exactly what you're talking about for sure. But Talk about sports a little bit. What sports did you play? And I'm assuming sports was kind of like the focal point of your upbringing, your childhood. Am I correct in saying that?
So I always loved sports. I always had a drive to be professional at some kind of sports or something. I wanted to be a pro. I like the title of a pro status. I played basketball majority of my life. I dabbled into football a little bit. Honestly, my favorite sport in high school, you probably won't believe it, but my favorite sport in high school was actually tennis. I got into tennis, and man, I just loved tennis. I started loving the individual sports and the fact that all your success is really on you. I mean, you can't blame anybody else. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and you realize you lost because you either didn't put in the work or you just didn't have what it takes. The other guy was just better.
Yeah, for sure. So who were some of the sports teams or the athletes that you kind of idolized or looked up to, Andrew, when you were a kid?
So I've been a LeBron James fan since he entered the league, and I believe it was '03. I mean, I have an original Reebok LeBron James jersey, and it's like it's like a child's extra large. So it's like the original Cleveland Cavaliers Reebok LeBron James jersey because I knew he was going to be something great, but I just loved that. I loved how I mean I watched his like high school films. I don't know if you've ever seen his high school films and stuff, but man, that dude he was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love watching greatness.
For sure. Yeah. Speaking to watching LeBron in high school, so I think his senior year, I was a sophomore. So I remember literally on ESPN watching him, play in high school. You know what I mean? And then it's like all these years later, dude, like 20 years later, he's still in the league. Obviously, the Lakers suck this year and have for the last couple of years, but he's still legit, right? So
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to you on that one as well. Talk about your parents. What did they instill in you? Were you close with your parents growing up? Anything that kind of stands out in terms of your parents from your childhood?
So I would say the main thing my parents taught me that really like I think shaped me as a person and as an adult is they taught me you can have anything in life, but you're going to have to work for it. So when I was a kid, like nothing was given to me. I remember I used to skateboard, so I was big into skateboarding. And I remember one summer I wanted a brand new skateboard, the whole complete package, new trucks, new wheels, the deck. And my parents were like, yeah, you can have it. We'll get it for you, but you're going to be paying us back this summer for it. So I worked literally all summer cleaning buses with my dad to pay that skateboard off. And I think that showed me like, you can have what you want in life, but there's going to be some work behind it.
Yeah.
So I think that was an important lesson they learned is that they never really gave me things. They never gave me handouts. They taught me that, we're going to give you everything you need, but if you want things, you're going to work for it.
Awesome, man. And that definitely ties into bodybuilding nowadays, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%.
Cool. Okay. So you said you kind of you always kind of, when you were growing up, wanted to be like a professional athlete. Me too, right? A lot of us growing up play sports. We want to be, we idolize and look up to pro athletes. We all want to be like, I wanted to be like in the Olympics at one point, and then I wanted to be a pro football player, pro basketball player. But at some point we realized that that's just not going to happen, right? So whenever you kind of realize that and realize that you're going to, have to, have some sort of a career outside of a pro athlete or get a quote unquote job, what were you starting to think about? If that was, maybe you were thinking about that stuff in high school. And then once you graduated, Andrew, how did life kind of take you or unfold post high school?
So most of my decisions kind of revolved around bodybuilding, to be honest with you. When I was 17, I believe it was, is when I got the I would say, I don't know, bit by the bodybuilding bug, whatever. But that's when I decided like, this is what I want to do. And I kind of committed myself to it because, I've quit things in my life and, I hate the feeling of quitting. So I made a decision. I made a promise to myself that this is something I'm going to stick out until the end. Like, I'm not going to quit this no matter how hard it gets, no matter financially, how tough it gets. I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to make it happen. So that's kind of my mindset towards bodybuilding. But I would say, like as far as a career path, like I said, it kind of went. I kind of went off bodybuilding. I thought of jobs that I could do that would work around my meal schedule, and that could work around bodybuilding, to be honest. So I got into banking when I was like 18 years old, and I'm still in banking today. So that I just feel like I can. It's a really good job, so that I can, I get paid decent, and I can still get all my meals in, and it's not like high taxing to the body. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Cool. Now, there's a lot within banking. What do you kind of specifically do, or what have you done over the years in terms of banking?
So I started out as just a teller. I worked my way up to like personal banker. And then I kind of got out of the in-person banking. And right now I'm working more like over the phone banking stuff. So yeah, right now I've been in like call center banking, working more like customer service for, I don't know, probably 5 years total.
Awesome. Okay, now let's transition then into kind of like the bodybuilding talk. So you said at 17 is kind of when you really dove into bodybuilding. So when were you first exposed to like bodybuilding? Was it a magazine? Was it a YouTube video? Talk about that. And then what do you think at 17 years old, Andrew, was like the pull or the draw for you to kind of move in the direction of bodybuilding, telling yourself like, I'm going to do this no matter what?
So it really came from like Jay Cutler. I mean, I'm trying to think if it was either a magazine or a video. I really want to say it was a video, like a YouTube video I saw of him. Um, I saw, he kind of has a different lifestyle than the other bodybuilders, and he was the first bodybuilder I ever saw. So I seen he had a big house, he had the nice cars, and um, I just love the freaky aspect of his physique as well. And it just kind of instilled something inside me and just gave me a drive. Like, man, this is what I want. Like, I want to look like that. I want to walk around looking like a freak, and have that kind of a lifestyle. Because I mean, I just love every aspect of the bodybuilding. I love the dedication that takes, to be successful in bodybuilding. I love you having to be on a strict regimen. The dieting, the cardio every morning. There's aspects of it that's tough, but the I would say the struggle or like the discipline it takes is just something that's really attractive to me, because knowing that it's not something that everybody would want to do or will do, and knowing that in most cases, if I can just outwork the other person, I'm going to come out on top. Like, it's kind of in my hands, and anything that I can just put in my hands, I just, I'm willing to put in the work. So I just love it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's talk about how did you then? I guess you kind of already said that Jay Cutler, like you followed his training programs and all that type of stuff. So was that really kind of how you introduced yourself to hypertrophy training or bodybuilding specific training, is just through consuming Jay Cutler content? And then how did you kind of transition into continuing to learn and grow within bodybuilding in those earlier years?
So I started out, yeah, with Jay Cutler's like program that he offered with his supplement stack. I would follow that. After that, I would literally watch his YouTube videos and just write down his workouts and sets. I would even watch his nutrition videos, and I would write down the foods he eats. And at one point, I was eating exactly like what he was eating. It was way too much for me to eat, but I was like, well, if I want to get that big, I got to eat exactly what Jay eats. So I was following his plan, whatever he was doing to a T. But I would say after that, when I started getting into more of the competitive side of it and getting ready for shows, I got a trainer. I remember my very first show at 19. I got a trainer 8 weeks out. So I started prepping myself for the show, and then 8 weeks out, I'm like, all right, if I'm going to take this serious and get actual stage conditioned, I'm probably going to have to hire a coach. So I hired a coach, and man, we had to drop 40 pounds in 8 weeks just to make to get stage lane. So that was tough. That was a tough prep for me. So, and then after that, I mean, I've had probably about 5 different coaches throughout the years. Right now, I'm with Chad Nicholls, and I've been with him for a few years now. And I'm going to be with him most likely for the long run, for the long haul. But yeah, it's definitely, when I got with Chad, I mean, he's such a knowledgeable individual that like as soon as I got with him, I mean, he propelled me like leaps and bounds of with progress, just from his base and his knowledge he has.
Yeah. And Chad is local there in Missouri. Am I correct in that?
Yes, yeah. Chad actually goes to the same gym I go to, so we're able to chat on like almost a daily basis.
Cool. Okay. We'll get back to Chad. I want to go back to your first competition. You said you had to lose 40 pounds in 8 weeks, correct?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot, man. But through that process though, did that really just solidify the fact that you loved bodybuilding and this is really what you want to do with your life? I mean, talk about what that actual experience was like going through that first prep. Obviously, it had to be pretty grueling. Did that trainer slash coach, did they know what they were doing or not really? Just walk us through some of the specifics of the first prep, Andrew, that you had, please.
So it was a really tough prep, not only physically but mentally. But I think that's what I loved about it. I loved like getting through that and knowing that I got through that, and just kind of wanting to push my body even further than I did for that show. As far as my coach, I mean, at that time he was a good, solid coach. But I'm the type of person that if I don't think a coach can get me further, or they can't get me to where I want to be, then I'm going to move on, because a lot of people, they have like a personal relationship, and they consider themselves like on a team. But I'm sorry to break it to you, but this is an individual sport. If a coach isn't giving you what you want, you hired them for a purpose. Like, move on, find somebody that will, and that so then you can be successful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough. He put me. The thing what I didn't like about his kind of training philosophy is he was more of like a fit your macros type coach. So he would just give me macros. He never really gave me food per meal. He would just say, here's your macros, just fit your food into that. And to me, I don't like that. I like the coach to give me exactly what to eat. I like everything completely structured, knowing, just being 100% dialed in. But I didn't really like the whole fit your macros thing. And yeah, after that, that's when I kind of moved on, because I just knew that he wasn't going to be able to take me much further than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So why don't you walk us through then your competition history? If you've competed a lot, if you can't remember all of them, that's fine. Just touch on some of the highlights. But what have been maybe some of the ups of your competition history up to this point?
So I started competing at 19. That was my first show. That I did the Missouri State Bodybuilding Championships here in Springfield. At that show, I won the teen division, and I actually did men's physique at that show as well. I got third in novice in men's physique, and I believe second in the open men's physique. I honestly did not care about men's physique. My coach was like, "Hey, might as well jump in men's physique." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." But I had no interest in men's physique at that point. So, and then at 21, I competed at Missouri State again. I took a couple years there to grow. I competed in middleweights that year, so I was 176, and got second place, and that was a close finish there. And then when I was 23, yeah, 23, I competed. I'm trying to think. I believe it was Missouri again. I competed at Missouri a lot. I think 3 or 4 times. So I competed at Missouri again. That year I competed as a light heavyweight, and again, second place finish in the light heavyweight division. And then 24, I competed at the the St. Louis Midwest show. And I competed as a heavyweight and got third place. And then 25, the next year, I competed at the All Stars, which is the show I'm going to be competing again here in about a week. So when I was 25, I competed at the All Stars. That was 2020. I won the overall at that show. I remember that show we had to wear masks on stage, so that's going to be a memorable one.
Yeah, we won't even cover that topic because that's you and I probably have. You're in from Missouri. I'm from Iowa. We probably have similar views on that, but we'll save that for another podcast.
Yeah, right. So yeah, 25, and then the next year, I competed at Nationals. That yeah, so last year I competed at Nationals, which is the show I'm going to be doing again after All Stars. And that show did not go very well at all. We decided we were going to come down and weight to try to make classic physique. Because our idea was, go in, get the pro card, and then just like our whole main goal was just worrying about getting a pro card and then going into the off season and building up from there. But so we came down. I dropped down to now. So in 2020, I weighed about 215 on stage. And so last year at Nationals, we came down to 198 and a quarter. So we came down to 198 and a quarter to make that's what I had to come down to make classic physique. And then I barely squeezed into the light heavyweight class for bodybuilding, but I got I was like 14th or 15th place in classic physique. And I made like third or fourth call outs in light heavy. But I don't know if you remember, but like last year, like that show was stacked. Yeah. So in my light heavyweight class, there were 47 competitors. But yeah, I was like third call out. So that show kind of definitely was a punch in the mouth. Like it took a hit to my confidence for sure. And I kind of reevaluated everything. And I was like, all right, man, if you're going to do this, you're going to need to just worry about coming in as big as possible is really my goal this year, is big and as shredded as possible. Stop worrying about coming down in weight, because my physique, anytime I try to come down in weight and suck down to make weight classes, what happens is my body flattens out. And if I flatten out, I mean, I'm not the biggest guy on stage. So if I flatten out, like that's my whole game. So like those bigger dudes are going to beat me every day, so this year we're trying to keep my muscles round and come in as big and as full as possible.
Okay, so some things I want to pull out from there. First of all, this All-Stars competition you're talking about, is that something there in Missouri, or where's that located? I never heard of it.
It's the All-Star Championships. That is in Overland Park, Kansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
pretty big competition.
Yeah. So this year it's actually supposed to be really big. I was talking to the promoter's son, and he said there's going to be there's already over 100 people signed up for that show. So it's going to be a pretty big qualifier for sure.
Okay. All right. Now I want to talk about, you kind of mentioned Nationals last year, and it was kind of a punch in the face, which I think that's good for all of us to get quote unquote punched in the face sometimes, now you talked about like kind of taking a step back and reevaluating. And I think this is important. I want you to talk about this, Andrew. And I think it's important because, as bodybuilders, that's part of the process. That's part of competing. You're not going to win every single show. Everything's not going to go perfectly, right? This is a continual learning process. So how did you kind of take a step back and evaluate? Like, walk us through that process a little bit. Chad was your coach because you said you've been working with him for a couple of years. So did you have a conversation with Chad? Just talk about how that works, because sometimes, that could ruin a relationship with an athlete and a coach if something like that happens. So walk us through that. Talk about that if you don't mind for a couple minutes.
Okay. So, yeah, definitely. So how I reevaluated things was after that show. I mean, I definitely took a hit to my confidence. I called one of my best friends, and we were talking, and he's like, first of all, dude, like, what are you doing coming down to classic physique? Because he's known me for years, right? And I've been telling him for years, I want to be a freaky big bodybuilder, in the open class and this and that. Like, that's always been my goal from day one. And I mean, he kind of opened my eyes a little bit too. He's just like, like, what are you doing, man? Like, like, why did you come down so much just to, fit a weight class, just to try to maybe possibly win a pro card? Like, your whole goal is to be as big as possible. in the open class, and that kind of reignited the fire in me, and I was just like, you know, I'm just done messing around with it. Like I'm after that I was like, all right, I'm going back to why I started this in the first place, and that was to be a big open bodybuilder. Not just to win a pro card. If I'm going to win a pro card, I want to win a pro card in the open class where I believe I belong. And then from there, after I came home, I think because our idea was, of course, to win a pro card, me and my coach's idea, because I think the fact that honestly, I was looking at competitors and it was kind of discouraging me while I was prepping. So that's kind of the thought in why we kind of came down in weight as well, as we're thinking maybe we had more of a chance of a pro card there. So his thought was, I think there was just kind of maybe a communicational error, because a communication thing there, because his thought was, let's get you a pro card and then let's work on growing. And so after that show, his thought was, let's keep you tight and maybe go into the next national show as a classic physique and go ahead and get your pro card. So I pretty much just said, you know what, if I want to win, if I'm going to get a pro card, let's just do it in open. Like, let's just go into this off season and try to get as big as possible. So after we talked about that, he's like, all right, let's do it. Let's get as big as possible. And from there, I feel like, we're definitely on the same page on everything. And like this prep has been going way, way better than last prep for sure.
Okay. Love it, man. I appreciate you touch on that. Now let's talk about this competition. Is it next weekend? Are you 7 days out? This is Saturday right now. So
yes, 1 week out from today. Yep.
Okay. So I'm assuming your plan there is to win the overall. You're going to requalify, and then a few weeks later, you're going to go compete at nationals. Is that what I'm catching from you?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about this off season. So nationals last year was in December, like it is this year, towards the end of the year. Talk about kind of like post nationals. Did you take some time off or not? Walk us through what your off season from the end of nationals last year, kind of up to when you started prep for this all-stars competition. Like, walk us through what did it kind of look like, please?
So right after a show, I never like to just go straight into what I like to call, recovery phase. I like to utilize the rebound phase to grow as much as possible, because your body is so primed to grow. It's ridiculous. I'll get most of my gains the first 5 weeks after a show than I almost will all year. So the first 5 weeks after a show, I honestly don't change much. I'm still cranking in the gym. Nothing really changes. My diet's dialed in. And then after that 5 weeks, I mean, like last year, for example, I weighed, 198 on check-ins. After the 5 weeks, I got up to, I was like 263 after 5 weeks, just from the 5 weeks after a show. So I like to utilize that phase to grow as much as possible. And then after the 5 weeks, that's when I kind of go into more of a detox recovery phase. And this last year, I actually went on like a 3-month detox recovery phase. And what that consists of is really just kind of lowering everything down as far as supplements and taking proper like detox supplements. My training honestly doesn't change a whole lot, because I like to, you want to hold on to as much muscle as possible when you're going through that detox phase. I don't really take much time off at on the gym at all, just because I love to work out. So I mean, I just have to be in the gym. So that's just not something that crosses my mind really to get out of the gym and give myself a break there. So after the 3 months, that's when we started cranking again, and we started increasing the food, started really pushing for growth again. And we did the growth phase all the way up until prep started.
So in terms of food, because I think from what I've heard, Chad is very well known in terms of pushing food with his athletes. So what was your top body weight during this past off season, and what type of food numbers were you eating, or did you not really keep track that close?
So my weight, the top end was around 274, 275. And I'm trying to think how much I was eating. I would say I can't probably think of the exact macros because he doesn't give me macros, he gives me food. I would say my calories were probably in the 5,500 range, at least. Um, so not like crazy, ridiculously high because my body doesn't really respond very well to crazy high numbers. All it does really for me is just cause extra bloating and um, yeah, like digestion issues, and that's kind of what I run into when my protein's way too high and I'm eating too much food. So we keep my food pretty moderate, just because my body just responds a lot better to moderate food. Um, and honestly, I'm still eating a lot of food. Like my body just needs, um, it just needs a moderate amount of food through prep and off season. I can never get too high, and I can't get my calories too low. If I get my calories too low, I'll lose tons of muscle like fast.
Interesting. Now, do you? I mean, when you were growing up and stuff, Andrew, were you? I mean, did you have a pretty fast metabolism? And I mean, are you kind of a hard gainer, or is this just maybe through the strength weight training that you've really dialed in your metabolism and the muscles just burning through the fuel? What say you on that?
So I was more in between. I was never like one of those just ripped to shreds kids that you see. And I never was big either. I was just more. I've always been like a thicker build, more of like a husky, type kid. So I'm not a hard gainer and I'm not a hard loser, but I've noticed the bigger I get, the more easier it is for me to lose, and almost to the point where we have to really watch my weight. Like this past week, I dropped like 3 pounds, and we didn't even hardly change anything diet wise. So that's the main thing for me right now is we have to really keep an eye on my weight because it'll kind of get out of hand, and I'll start dropping a little faster than we would like.
Okay. So for this show next weekend, when did you start prep? And then why don't you talk to us a little bit about how much cardio you've gotten up to leading into next weekend's competition?
So this year we actually started my prep a little sooner than normal. We usually do about a 12-week prep. This time we started, I believe it was about 16 weeks out. And his thought was he wanted to kind of get my body in a way, like get it ready for prep. Maybe get it kind of adapted to prep and eating more clean food. Because when I get deep off season, my food starts getting kind of sloppy. So he wanted to really clean up the diet to begin with and not really drop my numbers down immediately. Just really just clean up the diet, get rid of those cheat meals and um, just get nice, clean, solid meals in. So we did that for like, I would say 4 weeks before we really started cranking prep even. But I've noticed, I think that really helped me like hold on to size, like starting earlier and cleaning up my diet before we started really cranking the calories lower. So I think that's really helped just doing a longer prep.
Hmm. And then what's your cardio length been up to at this point?
So right now I've been up to an hour fasted in the morning, 5 times a week for, I don't know, at least probably 6 weeks now.
Okay.
So we're not going to bump it up from here. I started out at 30 minutes and then we worked our way up to 45 and now I'm at an hour. So yeah, I'm at an hour fasted cardio 5 times a week on the stair climber.
Okay. And
So
how do you like that, man? That stair climber can be brutal, especially for an hour fasted. Is it pretty tough doing that or what?
I'm actually my cardio is actually really good right now. It's not actually that tough. When I get off the stair climber, I'm not really breathing that hard. My cardio is at a good place right now. But yeah, it's mainly just extremely boring. Being on a stair climber for an hour, just like looking off into space, watching other watching other people work out and stuff. I mean, it just it just gets old really fast is the tough part about it.
Right, right. Hopefully, the gym that you train at has more than one stair climber. I hope, right?
Yeah, there's like 6.
Okay, okay, because you're that guy that's on there for an hour and somebody's waiting for it. It's super annoying, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Everybody always loves to hear you guys talk about your training a little bit. So why don't you talk about how has your training over the years evolved, Andrew? And then like kind of get into the details of how it has evolved, if it has much. And then what has your current split kind of been, you know, let's just say in 2022.
Okay. So so part of my evaluation, like I was telling you about after nationals last year, was my training as well. I literally evaluated everything. And I started reading up on Chris Aceto a lot. And I felt like he really knew a lot when it came to building muscle, you know, through working out. So I kind of adopted his training philosophy this off season. So I'll keep my rep ranges around 6 to 12, more like 6 to, I would say 6 to 10, 12 being more of a warm up set. I don't like doing I don't like doing much more than 12 reps. I feel like at that point, you're kind of getting away from the whole, you know, building your muscle and more of like a building more like a cardio in the muscle, like muscle endurance type thing. So I like to keep everything. My workouts are about, I do about 3-4 working sets at about 6 to 10 reps. I like to do at least one set where I'm hitting failure around 6 to 7 reps. So I'm going as heavy as possible. Even if I can have, if I could, it's preferred if you can have like a spotter to get you those extra, you know, 6-7 reps. But I've noticed significant results this off season from more like dropping my reps down, doing more heavier weight in the 6 to 10 rep range instead of working my way up to like 15, you know, 20 reps. So I've seen a lot of results in there. My current split right now that I've been doing majority of this off season is I'll do arms Monday, I'll do legs Tuesday, and right now I'm doing actually quads and hamstrings together. In previous off seasons, I'll actually split them up. I'll do a quad day and a hamstring day. Right now, I'm just doing one solid leg day. So Tuesday's legs, Wednesday is chest, and Thursday will be back. Friday, I normally take off, and then Saturday I'll do chest and shoulders. So I don't do a whole lot of shoulders. And another thing that I'll do is I'll alternate. So one week I'll do 2 chest days, and I'll just throw in shoulders with one of my chest days. And then the next week, I'll do 1 chest day and I'll do 1 full shoulder day. So I've been training chest a lot more this off season because that's something that I always need to bring up because my shoulders tend to over dominate my chest. So I have to work extra hard to keep my chest at least somewhat in the range of my shoulders. So I think I've done a pretty good job of almost leveling that out. I still think my shoulders are over dominant to my arms and chest, but you know, it's a work in progress. But yeah, so I don't really train a whole lot of shoulders. That's the main thing I get compliments on, and people will ask all the time, like, what do you do for shoulders? What do you do for traps? I'm like, buddy, I'm not the person to ask for advice on growing your shoulders because I don't do a whole lot of shoulders to begin with.
Right.
But yeah, that's about my current split right now.
Okay, cool. And it's funny that you say that because going back to the magazine era, you know, you'd have like in the magazine, you'd have like Ronnie Coleman's bicep routine. It's like, dude, Ronnie Coleman, you know, had the most genetically gifted biceps ever. He probably never needed to do any bicep work, and he would have still had those split heads and that peak, right? And so I think a lot of people, especially getting into bodybuilding, they have to realize like the guys that have like these standout body parts, they may not necessarily be the best people to ask, like you're saying with your shoulders. Yep. Like, how do you get big shoulders? How do you get big biceps going up to the guy that has, you know, just, you know, softballs for shoulders and baseballs for peaks on biceps? They probably don't even really know. They're just genetic, right? Like that. But anyways, now in terms of your chest training, have you found some movements, or have you been focusing on moving your chest in a certain way, concentrating on something specifically, Andrew, to kind of bring up that chest? If so, what movements, what mindset have you adopted to kind of focus on the chest and try to keep the shoulders out of that chest work?
Okay, so normally when I train, so in the past when I've trained chest, I'll do like an incline press, and then I would go into like some kind of flat machine press. I hate barbell bench, so I hardly ever barbell bench. So I pretty much scratch that out of the option. So I'll do an incline press, a flat press, and then I'll go into like a fly movement, and then maybe another press. That's what I've done in the past. I'll do like 4 exercises. This year, since I've been training chest more often, is I lowered the amount of exercises. So I'll be doing 3 exercises, and one of my chest days I'll do 2 fly movements and 1 like incline press movement. And then the next chest day for the week, I'll do an incline movement, a flat press, and then a fly. So the main thing that I've changed this off season is I've actually, on my first chest day of the week, I've been doing mainly flies. So I've been doing a lot more fly movements, and I feel like I can really stretch the fascia out a lot more and push more blood into the muscle before even getting into the workout. And I've seen good results, and especially like when I'm starting to lean out. Like I've seen more striations this year when I'm leaning out than I ever have in my chest.
Nice. Awesome. Okay. Now you said that you start your week off with arms. Is arms kind of another area that you're trying to bring up, or not necessarily?
My arms is always an area that I need to bring up. My arms has always been kind of over dominated, like by my shoulders, like I said. So I'm always trying to bring up my arms. So this year, what I've been doing is have a solid arm day on Monday, and then I'll train arms again. I'll do biceps in like either my chest day in one of my chest days, or my back day, and then I'll throw in triceps in again either my chest day or my back day.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been training biceps and triceps twice a week.
Excellent. Love it, man. Okay. So going into we're gonna assume that you're gonna win the overall, or at least qualify at this show next weekend, and then step on the national stage. What would you like to accomplish at nationals this year? What's a realistic goal that you have for yourself after kind of the disappointing nationals appearance last year?
So my goal is this year is, man, I just want to come in on point is my main goal. Like I want to have the confidence of knowing that I deserve to be up there on stage, and knowing that, I came in at 100%. Because last year, I mean, you could even see it in my face in pictures, is I knew I knew I was off. So my main goal is coming in on point, coming in at 100%. And if I come in at 100%, there's no reason why I can't get a first call out, if not get a pro card. So I think with my structure, my small waist, round muscle bellies, I think at my weight, I'm going to be really hard to beat if I come in at 100%.
And you're going to be in the super heavy weight class?
I'll be super heavies for qualifier. We haven't 100% decided on nationals yet, because my weight hasn't really gave us a solid answer yet on that one. So nationals is still up in the air. We're either going to do heavyweights or super heavies, because what's good about nationals is the check-ins is on Thursday. So I could possibly come down and get heavyweights and then fill back out for finals. I mean, for prejudging. So, but we don't want to come down too much, because that's when we kind of get into coming in too flat, like I have at almost all my shows. That's like a big thing for me, is coming in flat. It's hard for me to stay full on stage. So the main goal for me is to come in full and as shredded as possible.
Yeah. So how do you handle social media? Because I know earlier you said that going into nationals last year, you were kind of looking around at some of the guys and stuff, and it maybe got into your head just a little bit. So have you maybe made some adjustments in terms of like your headspace, in terms of looking at your competition, or looking at people on social media? How do you kind of handle that or how have you handled that this year?
So this year, yeah, I've kind of had a different mindset. Um, Last year, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of delusional when it came to what my expectations of nationals. So I came in thinking I could, before I stepped on stage, I was thinking I could, beat everybody up there. And honestly, that was 100% unrealistic with the physique I had. This year, like I'm literally taking it one day at a time. I just want to execute each day. And I've, I'm kind of a different mindset because I know for a fact if I win, lose, first call outs, no first call outs, I'm going to be back in the gym Monday and I'm going to be back improving. So my mindset is like, I'm going to do the best I possibly can every single day. And if the results aren't a reflection of what I believe I deserved or wanted, it's not going to change the fact that I'm going to still be working and I'll be back. So it's like, I'm going to be back on that stage no matter what, or a stage no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it, man. I'm assuming you probably have paid attention to the USAs earlier this year, North Americans. Did you kind of pay attention to that stuff?
I kind of seen a little bit. Actually, my friend from the gym, Becca, she won the overall in figure.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of paid attention a little bit. I didn't really watch the feed or anything, but I've seen who competed in like the posts and stuff.
Okay. Any thoughts on any of the guys from USAs and North Americans? I mean, what'd you think?
I think I think the overall winner of USA's, he looked great. I think the overall competition, I mean, not trying to bash anybody or anything, but I just think the overall competition of USA's and North Americans has this year was kind of downhill. There was not a whole lot of solid competitors, I don't think, and that could just be because I'm used to seeing a huge stacked class at these national shows, and I just feel like it wasn't as deep as previous years.
Okay. Well, nationals will definitely be deep. It was deep last year. It's going to be deep again this year. So you'll get your chance. You'll get your opportunity, your chance to have those deep lineups for sure. What you've kind of mentioned, Andrew, that you want to be a men's open bodybuilder. You want to be as big as you can. Like competitively speaking, if and when you get that IFBB pro card, like what would you like to accomplish as a pro bodybuilder before you were done competing?
So, I mean, I plan on doing this for the long haul. I mean, I'm 27 right now, so um, yeah. I mean, my main goal is to take my body pretty much to its peak. I mean, take it as far as I possibly can, while keeping my waist as small as it is right now, pretty much. I think a lot of these guys will take their size too far, and it'll start bleeding into their waistline. And I think that completely destroys physiques. So my main goal is to get as big as possible while keeping that aesthetic, um, you know, hourglass, shape per se.
Okay, that brings up a question. So I had a guy on the other day. He's a Canadian bodybuilder. I mean, he's like 6'3", just a huge dude, amateur. But he was talking about how he has like in his mind he has a physique that he wants to attain, right? And he said, I
Mm-hmm.
really don't care if that is a physique that is going to get rewarded on a bodybuilding stage. He said, I love bodybuilding, but he said, I'm pursuing a physique that I want, and I don't really care what other people think about it. What's your thoughts on that? Because I feel like a lot of guys, once they get into the IFBB, they chase the size game. I'm talking about open men's, and it's just like kind of what got them to where they were. They lose that, and some of them realize that, and they try to bring it back down. Some of them I don't think ever realize that until their time is up. What say you on that? Because I think that's a fascinating perspective.
I think part of that is a little bit silly because if you're going to be a competitive bodybuilder, you're competing in my opinion, to win. If your thought is you don't care about winning, you're just creating a physique, then and my recommendation would be stick to being a fitness enthusiast, because why put your health at risk like that prepping for a show if you don't care about winning a show? Because I mean, I'm competing to win. Like I want to win as much as possible, and then again, I'm not gonna make like how bodybuilding is evolving, like where I'm seeing who's like winning these shows is if you're noticing the waistline's coming down. The waistline's coming down, and I feel like the aesthetics is almost coming back. Because in the like late 90s, early 2000s, the waistlines, in my opinion, kind of started getting out of control a little bit. But I'm noticing the waistline starting to get tighter. They're actually judging a little bit harsher on people that come in with a waistline that's out of control. They're not able to control their poses, like their quarter turns, and they're just kind of letting their stomach, lose control. So my thought is I do have an ideal physique that I'm striving for. But I mean, my ideal physique is, I mean, it's my ideal physique, I believe, is going to be a hard physique to beat on a bodybuilding stage. But yeah, you almost have to have a somewhat of that mindset to a degree, because it is a subjective sport. So you kind of have to have that in the back of your head. Like, if I do lose, I did the best I can, and I like how I look, because it is a subjective sport. And sometimes it comes down to, I don't know, like politics or something like that. If it's close enough, show, somebody might like more round shoulders, and the other guy doesn't have his round shoulders, so they give it to the guy with the round shoulders. It could be as simple as that when the physiques are so close.
Right. Who are some of the young up and comers in the IFBB right now that you kind of look up to, or you really like their physiques? Who are some of those current guys?
I'm really excited to see Derek Lungsford in the open class this year. I think I don't know how he's going to do this year, but I feel like he is a future Mr. Olympia. So I'm excited to see what he does the first year in the open class. Mm-hmm. As far as the other guys, I think Hunter Labrada looks great. Nick Walker, he looks great as well. Man, Nick Walker could easily slide in that first slot. Like, he's right there. But this year it's going to be very interesting. I mean, my coach is training, in my opinion, probably the top two competitors in the Olympia right now, with William Bonac and Big Ramy. And I don't see those guys coming in off. So, but as far as the young guys, yeah, I would say Derek Lungsford. I'm excited to see him. Nick Walker is always exciting to see, just because of the freak factor of him. And then Hunter Labrada, I enjoy seeing his physique and everything.
Oh man. Now, do you do any coaching yourself, Andrew, or not?
Yeah, I do a little coaching on the side. I don't really promote it a whole lot, but just because, I don't know, I just don't promote it a lot. So I just go off of referrals and people that, stumble across my page that DMs me. But yeah, I actually enjoy coaching. I've coached a few people for shows, and yeah, it like brings the competitive spirit out of me, just prepping somebody for a show. Like, man, I really want my competitors to win. It's pretty fun, actually.
Okay. Is that something then, like, I know you're doing the banking thing, but at some point, would you like to do like the coaching thing full time, or do you see yourself always having kind of a career outside of bodybuilding and then doing the bodybuilding along with your professional career in terms of banking?
Yeah, I would honestly like to go more full time into like bodybuilding in the fitness industry. I feel like I'm a little bit more passionate about that, and it just brings me joy. And as much as I enjoy doing banking, and it gives me the income that I need and whatnot, it's not something that I'm passionate about, and it doesn't bring me joy helping people with their banking necessarily. But so I would like to do more full-time fitness training. That would be something I would be interested in the future. Yes.
Cool. I got to ask you this, and we're going to wrap it up here pretty quick. Have you come across anybody in all your years doing banking? Have you come across anybody that's passionate about banking or not? I'm being serious, man, because I go over to the banks and, you know, there's a lot of smart people and cool people that work at banks, but I don't know if I've ever walked in a bank and seen somebody fired up about, you know, being at the bank that day helping people get their loans, you know?
You know, I've seen passionate people about almost every industry, and I'm honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a banker passionate about banking. Now that I think
that's my point. Yeah, right. So you're not the only one that's not passionate about it. I love it, man.
yeah.
It is a pretty good point though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, last question I'm going to ask you, and then I'll give you kind of the last words in terms of any shout outs, anything you want to leave with us. But why don't you give me your top 2 gym pet peeves, Andrew?
Top 2 gym pet peeves.
Yep.
I would say younger kids staying on machines a long time, and I'm just watching them texting. That's a huge pet peeve for me, especially right now during like the semester. Right now, like our gym is crazy busy, so we're getting a big population of college kids, and yeah, it irritates me to see them just typing away on their phones, and they're just sitting there on the bench just doing nothing. And another one is at my gym, there'll be just these young kids, and they'll just as soon as they get there, they'll get about a couple sets in, and off goes their shirt. They'll be working out shirtless, and then they'll be like flexing in the gym and stuff. And I'm just like, all right, buddy, like let's at least get the workout in, and then we can do some flexing, you know.
So is your gym doesn't, they don't care if people are training with their shirts off and stuff then, or?
So I train at Rage. It's more of like pretty much serious lifters go there.
Oh, okay, cool.
They don't really care about that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool.
I've got trouble taking off my shirts almost at every other gym I've went to.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. All right, Andrew, first of all, I just want to say thanks, man, for coming on, sharing your life story, sharing your bodybuilding story with us, man. It's really appreciated. Looking forward to seeing what you do next weekend and then at Nationals. Before I do a really quick outro and let you go, I just want to give you the opportunity to do any shout outs, give us your Instagram, any final thoughts, any final words. The platform's yours. I'll do a quick outro and that'll be a wrap, my man. So whatever you got for us in closing.
Well, if you guys want to follow my Instagram page, I'm posting updates on my physique pretty regular right now. My Instagram is Andrew and then J and Gilliam. And Gilliam is spelled like we said earlier. Gilliam is spelled like Gilliam, so it's Gilliam. But yeah, if you want to follow my journey to this first stage for my first show this year, that's in about 7 days. And then journey to Nationals, which is 5 weeks from now. Go follow me and, you know, watch my progress. And I just wanted to, you know, thank you, man, for having me on. I always enjoy talking about bodybuilding stuff and talk about just fitness in general. Like, you know, I just love it. So I really appreciate you having me on and just talking about it.
Yeah, for sure, man. You're really welcome. And like I said, good luck next weekend. Good luck at Nationals. And thanks again, Andrew, for coming on. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All of you who are tuning into another episode of Behind the Muscle podcast, I just want to say thank you so very much. 2 quick things here as we wrap up this great conversation with Andrew today. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Then also take this episode with Andrew and share it on your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag Andrew, tag Behind the Muscle so that we know that you listened specifically to this episode and found great value in it, in which I know you did. And then finally, I will leave you all with this. Remember, behind the muscle, there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.